Alright guys, I'm in training mode now, where hopefully I can talk a little bit about my feelings about Hero, how good I think he is, really, and I guess I'll address, since people have been talking about it, banning him, which I'm just going to get out of the way right now. I think that's ridiculous. It's day 2, so, I mean, I just don't even think that should be in the talks for at least quite a bit. Okay, so basically, Hero is, I don't know, you could say his normals are kind of normal, like swordsman-esque, but they function a lot differently than a lot of other swordsmen. Like, I think pretty much every swordsman in the game has some sort of, like, quick back air. You know, Ike's has, like, the swing behind him, Martha and Roy both have a kind of a similar swing to this, except, you know, they turn around, but it's a lot faster. And his is slow. That's kind of the theme in his aerials, and honestly just his normals in general, is they're all kind of slow, but they actually create a pretty large bubble around him to where he has pretty considerable range. I think he probably has the better ranges amongst the swordsmen. Like, I think it's honestly comparable with Ike. His grounded moves, not so much. I mean, this is pretty impressive though, right there, that reach. So, yeah, he's best at controlling space, but he also doesn't have, like, the same combos as every other swordsman. Like, you would think this would be, like, an Ike-esque Nair, and it's not. Like, he can't really get anything off of it, which, again, is not, like, a bad thing. It's an interesting design. Like, you can kind of, like, maybe fade back with Nair and use it as like a spacing option on shield. You could do the same thing with Bear. It has like pretty respectable range. You're pretty much safe from a shield grab from almost anyone, I would think. But yeah, he just seems to be more about controlling space, and his up tilt is really great for this because he can just kind of go under people and catch them with this. It's actually a really fantastic move. The only thing I've noticed is, if you're watching the video, is that it misses a lot. Just if a character's in the middle of an animation, like maybe ducking a little bit, it just goes straight over them, which isn't that big of a deal, but it can be pretty frustrating. Down tilt is also really cool. It functions similarly to Nair, where it doesn't exactly set up for anything in itself, but it puts them in a pressure situation where they have to kind of make a choice. I know I've caught a lot of people where I down tilt and then they try to drift towards me with an aerial. I can catch them with F smash, which is obviously really good because, you know, if you get the crit, that's like pretty much free kill. Yeah, like right there, 30% free kill. So that's really good. It doesn't do anything particularly amazing. It has really good range, and he moves back after it. So it's actually a lot harder to punish than you would think, because, like, for example, from here, Mario can't really reach me with anything. But if I am in, like, this range right here, he can't really hit me with anything. But I can get him with that down tilt, which is pretty nice. Kind of a similar thing with the shield. The shield has a little less range. If you do the second hit, it has more range. So he can kind of space. F-tilt is pretty dang laggy, though, if you do both hits. I mean, I'm shielding as soon as possible. I've done this move on shield and gotten just, like, a free smash attack. Like, they drop shield F-smash against me or something like that. So it's not exactly the best spacing tool. I think down tilt is probably your best spacing tool, outside of, like, space aerials or whatever. I guess next I'll talk about his specials. He's got his neutral beam, which you can just charge up all the way. You don't even actually need any mana to charge it up. That's just when you actually fire it. So if you have 0 mana, you can just sit here and charge this. So there's pretty much almost never a reason to not have this charged, unless, like, for some reason you want to use the lighter variant. I think it's Frizzle, and Frizz. Well, I didn't do the right one, but you know what I mean. But yeah, they're pretty good. This is kind of laggy, but if you do it from a good enough range like this, you can see, like, they're still in tumble when you're running over there. Or, sorry, not tumble, but, like, still getting popped up. So it's not going to, like, combo into anything, but it's pretty good in neutral because when you hit it, you do get some pretty decent advantage, which isn't the same for, like, Ken or Ryu, per se. I mean, obviously when Ryu does his Shakunetsu Hadoken, he does. But for Ken, you know, when he hits this, they just get pushed back a little, and then, you know, that's pretty much all you get from it. But he actually does get a decent bit of advantage and can press forward. Frizzle is interesting. It has a pretty shallow angle on it, and it also deals a lot of damage, like 21% for something that only took, I mean, it's 16 mana, so I guess it's not cheap per se, but it's definitely not too expensive, and it's pretty fast. So overall, he's just got a really great zoning tool right there. And I was talking about spacing before, spacing with down tilt, spacing with F tilts, caching lands with up tilt. But I mean, really, I couldn't say any of that without talking about side B. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, you can just tap it, barely costs anything. It has great range, and it's pretty impossible to punish on shield. Especially this version. It's honestly ridiculous. I mean, look at that range. I wonder, can I hit it from start? Or no, you can't hit it from quite the starting point, but very nearly. It's pretty ridiculous. And then this version, of course, I should talk about. He's at 0%, right? 45%, and it kills ridiculously early. I don't think it'll kill from this percentage. Okay, it did. So yeah, that's Hero. Just, I mean, he's just got so much diversity in him. I mean, I would say if I just looked at his straight normals, I would say pretty lackluster, because nothing really strings into itself, nothing is exceptionally powerful or has like great frame data. His strongest asset really with his normals is just his reach, I would say. But his specials just take him to an entirely new level. I mean, he can zone, he can space, I mean, or zone, because this actually does not count as projectile. So if someone has Reflector, well, I'm just going to ignore it, which is actually really good against other heroes when they get... I was looking for bounce, I was trying to exit out. But yeah, he's just nuts. And that's just those. I mean, his uppy... it's like it's okay as shield. I believe it's frame 7 or 8, but the real great thing is that it has almost no landing lag, which is great. So, you know, if, let's say you do that shield, they can't really punish you, though. They have frame advantage on you, so it's not like too smart, but, you know, it's okay. And the medium version has really good horizontal movement on it. And it only costs 9, which is pretty good. I wouldn't use this as a shield, just because, I mean, you could probably access better things. But, you know, it deals a decent amount of damage, 15%. I guess I should show you the distances. Like, this is level 2. It's actually pretty dang good, especially from that range. Like, I thought I was actually going to die there. But yeah, and then his up B level 3 is just pretty absurd. I think it goes about as far as like Inkling up B. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty far. If you're below the ledge, it's pretty likely that you'll make it back, assuming you have enough MP. That's one of the biggest things, is you've got to make sure not to use all your MP, because if you get knocked off stage, I mean, you're dead right there. So always something to watch out for. And then finally, the section that's probably going to take the longest to go through, but is down B. The commands. I have some thoughts about it. I think this is incredibly interesting, and I really like the idea behind it. But, oh, it closes on its own. I didn't know that. But just the fact that it's random and you have to react to what's there in order to use it. I mean, it means that stuff like Crackle Slash, and that was all the way at the bottom. You know, I had to read that, go all the way to the bottom, and use it. And I really doubt the opponent's going to be anywhere near it. And it sounds like, oh, I'm complaining about how down B is bad. Yeah, no, because then you have insane shit, like Sizzle. That's really good. Bang, also pretty good. Or then you have stuff like Acceleratle? Yeah, and then it's like, oh, it's Palatine a lightweight, except fucking has like all this other shit tacked on top of it. I mean, it gets pretty insane. Oh, and then there's like Hatchet Man. Psych up. You're dead. Yeah, it's just odd because he has such high, okay, this is where I start to take issue with Hero, is that he has, I mean, his melee commands are not really that useful because there's not much time you're going to be able to read, choose it, and then like capitalize on it properly. But then randomly you're gonna get shit like thwack, like you just saw there, where I just completely killed Mario. Or let's see if I can get it again. Magic Burst, yeah. Look at that. That was almost the entire stage I covered there. It dealt 58%, and like, yeah, it uses up all your mana, but it's really not that big a deal because, here, let me spend a bunch of mana real quick. It's 1-to-1, you gain it back. So 66, 67, boom, 85. So mana is almost never a concern, and as you also see, it regenerates at 1 per second. But again, I know it's probably going to sound like I'm either... I don't know, it's weird because with Hero, I don't know whether to complain about the things that I don't like about how he works or how I think some things don't work a bit too well. Overall, I think his normals and his specials, excluding down B, make him incredibly interesting. And I think down B itself is incredibly interesting. But when you add in the fact of this RNG, some options are absurdly busted, and then some are just really lackluster, it feels like wasted potential, because it doesn't feel like it's like there's that much strategy to it, really. I mean, basically just pick the best button and you go ahead and use it. I would much rather see this list being set, and then maybe you can scroll through it, but obviously that would be problematic, because then you have stuff like, oh, well, now I'm just going to use Magic Burst whenever I want, or Acceleratle, you know, like, oh, I'm just going to do this all day and be the best character in the game. But I actually came up with what I think is a really good solution. So whenever you open the menu and close it, it refreshes. We know that. It's already like that, and it's one of the things I really don't like about it. But I was thinking, what if when you open the menu, it stays that way even when you close it? But maybe, for example, instead of B activating the menu, instead it refreshed it like it does now when we do this. It closed it and brought you a new one. But if you just regularly canceled it with shield, it would be the same thing. And people would be like, oh, well, that's broken, because then you can just say, well, now I have Crackle Slash, Oomph, Kaboom, all just sitting there waiting for me. I can whip out whenever I want. But then when you use it, like it does normally, like, for example, let's do Kaboom, I don't have access to the same thing anymore. So keep that, but make it so you can simply save a page for later. Like, let's say I see Heal, Bounce, Flame Slash, Snooze. Like, this is a really great thing right here. I'm going to hold shield, and I want to keep it. And then, so I have that in mind, and for later, you know, let's say he's right here, I'm like, oh wait, perfect timing, now I can do my snooze, and then I can get my stupid crit punish, which would be really cool, but it would keep the randomness aspect of it. It wouldn't get rid of the randomness, it would simply make it a little bit more manageable and a little bit more strategic. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of shit because people are going to be like, well, you know, it takes a lot of strategy to be able to read and execute, and that's totally true. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, I'm going to, what am I trying to say? I'm going to give it up and say, like, yeah, I'm totally looking at this from a competitive Smash standpoint. So it's not, like, obviously, if you're just playing this character for fun, everything I'm saying probably sounds totally unnecessary. And, like, well, why are you trying to, this is the whole point of the character. He's RNG, you know, he's a party character, it's a party game, yada yada. But, I don't know. This is just my musings. I'm just kind of shooting it out, giving my thoughts on it. But, yeah, I think I better end the video here. I don't think I have much else to say on Hero. Besides, I think he's really interesting. I'm excited to see where he goes. No, I don't think he should be banned. That's ridiculous. Maybe if for some reason he turns out to be super busted and like everyone's just healing and magic bursting all over, then yeah, we'll talk about it then. But right now, there's absolutely no reason to talk about it. Anyway, guys, that about wraps it up for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day.